Starr's beer review. Tonight, we've got a beer that comes all the way from the wondrous land of Japan. We're going to take a look at Kirin Ichiban, one of the world's most unique premium beers. It's an imported beer, technically. I believe this particular beer is actually made in the States by Anheuser-Busch, but we'll get a credit for at least that, it did have to come into the country. Yeah, it says right here, product of the USA. Brewed under strict supervision by Kirin Brewery by Anheuser-Busch, Los Angeles, California. So, it's actually one thing that is interesting about this particular beer is that it advertises right on the front that it's 100% malt. It's kind of ambiguous in saying that because by saying 100% malt, hey, you might think malted barley. Well, that's what's supposed to be in beer, right? Well, you can also malt rice. So anyway, let's just go on with this particular beer and see what we think. So, it's 5% ABV. One of the big reasons I'm reviewing this now is because I think it's being discontinued in New Brunswick. I think I found this on a clearance shelf. It wasn't labeled clearance or anything. It's just they had a whole bunch of beers, a lot of that I've already looked at, on a separate shelf in our MB Liquors, and they were kind of low in price. So while they weren't labeled clearance, I'm thinking this is probably going to be short for here. Has a production date written on it as being made on July 20th, 2011. So this bottle is nearly a year old, 10 months old. So I better take a look at it before it either A, goes bad, or B, I can't get this anymore. So I'll pour this into my Pilsner glass, a cold filtered light glass. And it is exactly what I expected it would look like. A straw yellow with a poofy white head. And a bit of a skunky aroma. So let's take a look at that. Wow, that's pale yellow. There's a little bit of like a golden kind of shade up at the very top, but for the most part, that's yellow. Pea yellow or something. And the 1.5, 2 fingers of head that I had at the first is now died off to a finger. The bubbles aren't looking like they're going to last very long, although they have a little bit more of a consistency to the bubbles, like a little thicker consistency than you would expect from a large fizzy macro beer like, say, Budweiser or Molson Canadian. One thing I'm really noticing off the top of this one is, ooh, Pepe Le Pew. It's got a almost watery, skunky smell. It's very herbal. Which probably makes me think. It makes me think they did use hops, but they probably used some kind of variety, like a hop extract of like a Hallertau or some European style hop. And of course, there's also a bit of a sweet malt, tad bit fruity, kind of like an apple juice kind of smell. It smells, if you were handed this and you weren't even told what kind of beer this is, you might think it was like a European lager, like a Heineken or a Beck's or a Grolsch or something. I mean, you probably wouldn't know exactly which one it is, but it's kind of like it does smell like the part of a Euro lager. So, except for it's Japanese. Who knows? They probably were trying to emulate that style of beer. Anyway, let's get to the taste. It's kind of like you get a very noticeable, lingering, earthy hop note, like an herbal, earthy, like a noble hop. And a tad bit of a cardboardy, lingering sweetness in the back. But it's not bad. Just a little on the starchy side. One thing I will say is there's actually quite a bit of flavor, and it's a little on the heavy side for lager. And now on the grand scale of things, that means that it's like a kind of like a medium-bodied beer. It's not watery, at least. It's quite malty, like for a lager. I mean, it's not very malty. It's just it's got a decent amount of malt sweetness to it, but it takes on a little bit of like a starchy cardboard kind of flavor, and lingers there with the hops for a bit. But at least it does finish somewhat dry in the sense that your throat's dry enough for another swig after it. Not in the sense that all the sugars are used up. It's a beer. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down with this for a bit. I'll be right back. And I'm back with Kirin Ichiban, Kirin's Prime Brew. So, what did I think about this one? I gotta say, this is a half-decent Japanese attempt at making a good Pilsner, a European-style Pilsner, rather than just your standard Euro lager. It's not very light, but it's full of like a little bit of a nice malt flavor, is a nice malt, a nice bit of like an herbal hop note. It's very, very in the same vein as like a Bohemian-style Pilsner, although I don't think that's quite what this is. I think it's trying to be a popular Japanese lager. As a brand, this is probably pretty close to what the Japanese version of it is like, although unless I go over to Japan, I won't ever know what the real Kirin Ichiban tastes like. And if I go over there, it's probably not the first one I'm going to grab for. Excuse me. But what did I think about this particular one personally? I think it's a good, solid attempt, but to call it a tremendously high-quality beer, or one that I would prefer to drink again and again, I'm not sure if I'd go that far. I think as far as I'm willing to go is to give this a 3 out of 5. Definitely better than your average lager, but be warned, if you're expecting a light lager or some easy drinking lager, you're not going to find it here. What you're going to find is pretty much a big flavor for a lager in a thicker beer. Not to say that it's really heavy, it's just there's definitely a lot of malt to it. And not only that, if they did use like a rice as an adjunct in this, malted rice as an adjunct, at least it's hardly noticeable. And gotta give them kudos for that. So 3 out of 5 for Kirin Ichiban. Thanks for watching Maxwell Starr's beer review. Hope you enjoyed watching this review, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers!